What's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video. The top 15 roller coasters at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and this is an elite Six Flags park. They have so many great coasters, but this is my opinion on this topic, and I haven't done a coaster countdown in a while, so hope you guys enjoy. Number 15 is Gold Rusher, and this is one of the oldest coasters at Magic Mountain. It's an aerodynamics mine train, and it has a pretty ugly color scheme as it has a faded yellow track. So yeah, I think this coaster needs a repaint, but overall this coaster is kind of rough. It's meant for the families, and it's not that good of a coaster. Number 14 is Viper, and this is an aero looper, but unfortunately it's very rough and it causes a ton of head banging. So yeah, pretty rough coaster. It has a good quality layout with 7 inversions, but if this coaster was a B&M, like an exact B&M, if B&M cloned Viper, I think it would be very good, but since aerodynamics makes some pretty rough coasters, this coaster is at the bottom of the list. Number 13 is the mediocre Green Lantern. Green Lantern at Magic Mountain looks kind of like a mediocre coaster. It's an SNS 40 Free Fly in shambles because it's an Intamin Zaxbin. The SNS 40 Free Flies look better than Green Lantern, but overall Green Lantern just looks kind of it has some better flipping moments than X2 because X2's flips are pretty bad, as I'll show you later in the video with X2's spot. But moving on, Green Lantern, kind of a mediocre coaster because it's kind of a short ride, but it still looks like a decent coaster that will give you a little bit of thrills. Number 12 is Ninja, the Aero Suspend coaster at Magic Mountain. This coaster is themed to a ninja by the name, and this coaster goes through the trees, and it's not really a coaster known for a huge drop at all. It just has several turns spread throughout the ride, which makes the coaster have some crazy transitions with the cars turning left and right, or some, I don't really know what word to describe it, but it's in the coaster cars swing as the ride moves. So moving on to number 11, we have Apocalypse the Ride, and some people do not like this coaster. Some people like it, but this is just one of those mixed reviewed coasters. I think it's pretty solid. It has a solid drop, some pretty solid turns, but I still think it is kind of a rougher kind of rough for a GCI, but still looks like a pretty fun ride. And it either could be one of the worst or one of the best coasters at Magic Mountain. Number 10 is the cloned Batman the Ride, and this coaster is a traditional invert B&M, and it's obviously better than a Vekoma SLC as it's a B&M, but Batman the Ride, pretty nice color scheme, blue track, black supports, has 5 inversions. Moving on. Number 9, the New Revolution. The New Revolution looks like a pretty good Schwarzkopf coaster. This coaster was the first coaster to ever feature a vertical loop, and it's still operating today as it was renovated from being the traditional The Revolution to the New Revolution, where it got lap bars as it got new trains as well as a new color scheme, and it just looks like a much better looking coaster than what it was back in the 2015 season and before. Number 8 is Riddler's Revenge, and this coaster is the stand-up coaster at Magic Mountain and has a very good drop, as well as several inversions throughout the ride. People say this is the best stand-up coaster, and I totally agree with all those people that say this is the best stand-up coaster. And not too many people talk about B&M stand-ups. These are kind of outdated coasters, but Riddler's Revenge still stands today as the best stand-up coaster ever since its opening. Plus, it's right next to Batman the Ride, the Riddler-Batman rivalry. It's there at Magic Mountain. Number 7 is Goliath, and this coaster Some people say this is like a top 3 coaster at Magic Mountain. Same thing with the next coaster on this list, because I was talking about it earlier in the video with the Green Lantern part of the video. You probably already know what it is, but moving on, Goliath. The first half of the ride looks pretty solid. That drop looks very fun. That first turn looks pretty good. It's pretty nice how you go through a tunnel after the first drop. And then after that turn, you go into an airtime hill. I'm not really sure if it delivers any airtime or not. But then you go into a turn and then hit the mid-course brake run. Pretty solid start of the ride, but then the rest of the ride is just a bunch of random helixes. So yeah, Goliath, it has the stats, it has the speed at the beginning of the ride, but then the rest of the ride after the mid-course brake run is pretty mediocre. Number 6 is X2, and this coaster has good qualities and bad qualities. The good qualities, it has some very cool theming, as it has some music that plays when you go up the lift hill, as well as having a pretty crazy drop as well. This coaster has a good color scheme, as it has a red track and gray supports. I really like the name X2. Plus, this coaster also has fire effects, which is a very cool thing. This coaster has winged seating, but after that first drop, this coaster looks kind of mediocre in my opinion. The flips don't look that good, as they are kind of like, there aren't like true smooth flips. They're kind of like jiggly and not that smooth of a transition. When you don't have a smooth transition on the flip, the ride isn't as good. So that's why X2 isn't as a top 3 coaster at Magic Mountain, but it's still a very good quality coaster. Number 5 is the B&M Floorless Coaster Screamin. This is the second best B&M at Magic Mountain. Has a very fun drop, several inversions, and it's a copy of Bizarro. Even though it is a copy of Bizarro at Great Adventure, it's still a very fun roller coaster with those inversions, and it is still a parking lot coaster. This coaster does have a few bad qualities, but it's still a very fun ride. Number 4 is Superman Escape from Krypton, and holy moly, this coaster looks insane. This coaster only has like a 20-second ride time, but it's worth it. Oh my goodness, that launch looks insane. 100 miles per hour. This coaster's launch looks insane, and it looks like a pretty fun drop as well. This coaster is basically Mr. Freeze as you go backwards at 100 miles per hour. So yeah. Superman Escape from Krypton, the underdog at Magic Mountain, in my opinion. This coaster's launch looks super intense. The drop looks pretty fun as well. The main problem with this ride is that it's too short. Number 3 is Full Throttle, and this is another launch coaster at Magic Mountain, and it looks very fun, and it definitely deserves the 3rd spot on the list, because this coaster's first launch looks very fun. Plus, you go into a huge vertical loop, once the tallest in the world, not anymore, and it delivers some insane hang time. You go into another inversion as well as some very fun turns, but then you go into this tunnel and you don't know what's going to happen, if you're going to go forward or backwards. But you go backwards for some reason, and it's not that forceful of a backwards launch, but then you move forward, go into a huge hill over the vertical loop, as you can see here, but unfortunately you stop at the brakes, which is kind of a stupid problem about Full Throttle, as after that final drop, the brakes are literally on the drop. So moving on to number 2, we have Tatsu. This is an amazing B&M flying coaster, definitely the best B&M flyer out there. Has an amazing, insane pretzel loop, very intense. Has some other inversions as well as some graceful turns and a very fun first drop. But number 1 is Twisted Colossus, the all-around amazing RMC. This is just a pure all-around roller coaster. Has some amazing elements, plus you go through both sides of the coaster. There are 2 really good first drops, inversions, airtime hills, bank turns, as well as a high 5 element. What an amazing coaster. This is one of the best coasters in the country, maybe even the world. This RMC is just mainly why guests go to Magic Mountain today. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and I hope you enjoyed my top 15 coasters at Six Flags Magic Mountain.